In the course of industrialization, the conflict over wages became a central organizing principle for labor. We believe that today in our society, which is so heavily financialized, the struggle over debt will become a frontline conflict. It already is. And that's not because wage conflict is over, it never will be, but it's because debts, quite literally for most people, are the wages of the future. And that's something to bear in mind. So right now what we're seeing is the manipulative use of debt, especially municipal or sovereign debt, to extract concessions from workers and break the backs of some unions, especially public service unions, postal workers, transit workers, teachers, and other public, other urban service unions. At the same time, the labor movement is generating all of these very innovative and non-traditional modes of organizing. The Freelancers Union, the Workers' Centers, Retail Action Project, the Model Alliance, even our Walmart is a very innovative organization. And in addition, reviving the spirit and practice of wildcat strikes, some of which Occupy groups have been allied with or involved with over the last year or so. The labor movement also gave us alternative banks, including the once mighty Amalgamated, and spawned a lot of mutual credit unions. Each of these institutions are necessary pillars of the nonprofit credit economy that we really do need as a successor to the predatory debt economy, which feeds the profits of the 1%. Let me just say a little bit about the connection, the relationship between debt and labor, because it's a very tight relationship. It always has been. In fact, the history of work is haunted by the specter of this very tight relationship. Historically, wherever you look, debt has been used to deepen labor exploitation. From the debt peons and debt slaves of antiquity, who were forced to bond their labor through servitude, down through mass indenture in colonial America, the debt finance slave trade in antebellum America, down to the sharecroppers of yesteryear who were unable to pay the loans advanced on their harvests, factory workers subsisting on company scrip, all the way down to the present day where, where there are millions of transnational migrant workers who are toiling to pay off the debts from their transit and recruitment fees, payday loan borrowers who live from paycheck to paycheck and are targeted because they are unable to pay the exorbitant rates of interest on payday loans. And also victims of wage theft everywhere. Victims of wage theft effectively are financing their employers. So this history is pretty systematic, and not much has really changed in this history. And today, tens of millions of workers are still in conditions of bonded labor. One thing that's pretty new is that in the last few decades, in societies like ours, where we've seen increased financialization, our financial elites depend more and more for their profits on unearned income. And what that has meant is that a larger and larger portion of our workforce has been delivered into a debt trap, and it fundamentally affects how they earn a living. Student debt has emerged as a particularly visible aspect of all of this. Increasingly, folks talk about student debt as a form of indenture, because the central principle of indenture, after all, is that you have to go into debt in order to labor. And if we're in a society where our elites tell our students that they need a college education in order to get their passport to a decent job in the knowledge economy, they have no choice, most of them, but to go into debt in order to labor, and that debt burden persists for decades to come. Some people find the analogy with indenture offensive, and so I always say, well, think of student debt as a form of wage theft, the theft of the wages of the future, or as an illegitimate tax which is collected by the finance industry.